Yep.
Good evening. Good evening.
That was not enthusiastic at all.
No, there are technical difficulties this evening. I'm a little PO'd and bothered by that. But I'll work out of it. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Fuck Your Feelings, the show. We are on live every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern Time. Tonight we are going to be discussing
why you/they are not the one.
Yes, that is the topic. Why you / they are not the one. Most folks have felt that in that one occasion in their life or the other. Not necessarily the greatest feeling, but we wanted to, what's going on, Dre? We wanted to talk a bit about, some of the things that can cause that to occur. Because this world is pretty wild out here these days. And I think I'm gonna let Sheba do a lot of talking this evening.
Why?
Well, because
he's discombobulated because our YouTube stream didn't work, and
well, I think that's a good way to drive the conversation. Is I'm just gonna kind of interview you in my head.
Oh.
Okay. And get you.
This is new.
To say some things that.
Well, you never know what I'm going to say.
You can wear the heat for it.
I'm always wearing the heat. That's okay.
Well, you're going to say it. And because I think, and I'm hoping and trusting, give you a live mic and let you, off the cuff answer some let's see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, I'm still measured, so you know me.
Yeah, well, yeah. But again, we're private, not secretive. And we're not we don't lose sleep over what people think about us.
No, we don't have time for that.
No, not at all. So, let me see. We're on a bit late this evening, just because, like I said, technical problems and stuff like that.
You're making your suit look like it's too big for you.
Okay, thank you. See, things like that. That's why. But, leading up into the show, I was just thinking about some different things. And this one I really want to be kind of for both sides of the relationship, for the fellas and for the ladies, you know what I mean? So
okay, so I'm waiting for my first question.
Yeah, so the first question I would ask is very open-ended. Like, how do you feel about me? Describe that for the people.
Oh my God.
I think that'd be an interesting place to start.
So despite the fact that we have a show called Fuck Your Feelings.
I believe I know how you feel about me, but it's interesting. We're going to let you, like I said.
Let's tap into feelings today.
It's an open-ended question. How do you feel about
me,
though?
Let's start with, I am absolutely obsessed with you. Like, I am obsessed with everything about you. Your brain, I'm the most obsessed with because I think you're one of the smartest men I've ever met. You make me think outside of a realm that I'm not normally thinking from, and I think a lot. I think too much sometimes. But you challenge me in my thinking in a very positive way, and you allow me to be in a space where I'm comfortable to share as I hope I do the same for you, share my off-the-cuff ideas and different ways of thinking. And again, in this world where people want you to have a linear type of thinking, you allow me with all of my culture and all the things that I've experienced to do that. So I'm obsessed with your brain, definitely. And I think I'm just obsessed with you as a person. I think you're so resilient. I think if people really got to know your story, and I'm waiting for you to write that book, that they would understand why I'm enamored with you. Because there are many men who've faced a life that you have that could not walk the path that you have. as well as you've done, despite some hiccups along the way.
Yeah, a few hiccups. It's all good. It's all good. We learn from the losses, not from the wins. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm grateful for the L's because I wouldn't be who I am today without them. And again, I think that the losses, they shape you just as much.
Absolutely.
As the wins do, you know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
The losses are why we're here. And I think the losses is, God bless them, is why we're here together, is experiencing losses and realizing, the role that we played and what we wanted to make sure that we never experienced again by coming with someone who was willing to do this thing called life together in a way that would work for the both of us. And I think our way works for us. And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of us. So I didn't mention any of the 666s because as much as that is a part of you, I think I fell in love with your brain. I fell in love with the way you think. I literally became obsessed with speaking to you. I mean, we were long distance, but we spoke for hours. And, even when we were communicating online, it was back and forth for hours. Like, it was like this volleyball and we were lobbying back and forth.
Well, yeah, it was definitely pleasant. Like, it's, I don't want to say rare, but it's not often that I get that type of banner going on where I feel like, oh wow, she's really keeping up with me. I can say some shady shit and don't gotta explain that I was just playing, like I was just being a dick. You know what I mean? Like,
you're being who you are.
Toughening you up a little bit. Like if you can't take it early, you damn sure ain't gonna be able to take it later. You know what I mean? So I think that. Yeah, I think that's one of the mistakes that both sides make is you just try to go, you send that representative in. And that's a mistake every time. Unless the representative is really you.
And I sometimes wonder if people realize that they're doing that.
I don't think it's purposeful.
That's what I think
I really don't think it's purposeful. But I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to show them my best self. I'm going to be the best person that I am. But that's unsustainable.
Because it was funny, I watched, couples court and fraternity court, and on my run today, they were talking about the fact that these people were in the early stages of their relationship. They were like a year and a half in, and they're like, well, that's the honeymoon stage. Why are you having problems so fast? And I'm thinking, well, when do you have problems? Should you not? Like, to me, that's when you actually have problems, because that's when you're learning each other. That's why you're learning each other's idiosyncrasies, right? Like, the problems should front load. Like, we talk a lot about, a lot of our ish was front loaded, right? Like, we don't expect to deal with a lot of things that we've dealt with in this first 2 years, in the next 20 years. We front loaded, we got to know each other, we've had to let go. You said something to me that was critical a couple of nights ago, is that some of the things that you said in the early stages of a relationship, like we kind of need to let go of that, because it was in the early stages of our relationship, despite the fact that we loved each other and cared about each other, and I moved halfway from where I was. We were still learning how to be a couple. And so, yes, how you felt about me at 6 months is not how you feel to me at 25 months.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, I do remember.
So for me, it was like, yes, those are the things you're supposed to go through rough patches in the beginning, because if you have smooth sailing and then you hit 17 years and now you have to circumvent an issue in a relationship, you haven't equipped yourself for that. I'm not saying like cheating and all that stuff, but just roadblocks, because life has roadblocks, and Lord knows we have some roadblocks.
Oh, for sure. And you know what else I think happens is you go through this honeymoon phase, and sometimes that honeymoon phase could be pretty extended. So now you start going through the trials and the tribulations of the relationship, and all of a sudden you think it's a bad relationship.
Facts.
Because somehow you have this expectation that a good relationship
doesn't have problems,
doesn't have issues, doesn't have bumps in the road, doesn't have flat out arguments. But then I think as men, we inherently don't trust that, because we understand sports. You know what I mean? That's why, like, guys that play ball, when Draymond stole Jordan Peele, it was not like a huge deal. It was like, I've seen that 150 times. Like,
if you played sports,
it's
sport,
like just in
period,
general,
you get into
your
stuff.
teammates get in a fight
all the time.
like, you close. Y'all spend a lot of time together.
Are in
And y'all
track,
get on
like-
each other's nerves sometimes.
Absolutely.
But that don't mean that ain't brotherhood. You know? So why would you expect a relationship to be different?
Because we have romanticized the idea of what relationships are supposed to do.
Definitely.
Disney came in and brought the prince and the princess together, and they lived happily ever after, and they had the little fairy dust all around them when they went off on the chariot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's done. And so a lot of people have taken that and they're saying, oh crap, my relationship is hard now. That means I have to go. And they rinse and repeat that over and over again. And so they actually don't know. And I'm probably guilty of that in my own way. I will admit that. I am very guilty of not being able to sustain a relationship. And that was one of the things that was very attractive about you, whether I love it or like it, but it was your stick-to-itiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people would be like, you know, you're supposed to just leave something when it gets bad, but you
True.
almost exhausted yourself to the point where I'm like, okay, now it's done because I've done everything.
Everything I can.
And I'm exhausted where I'm like, oh, well, this was fun and I guess my time is up here because this is like no longer a thing. Like I'm not, right? And it's, I'm not proud of that. I don't put that. So for me and you, that's why like your stick-to-itiveness makes me even more committed to you because I know how much you've committed to the wrong ones.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, and that's good. I mean, I don't want to say good. That's fair because you're not taking that in a negative tone.
No.
And I think you never really did, but I think sometimes you misunderstood certain aspects of my previous relationships, and you thought that my efforts or my behaviors were about that person or my feelings for that person. And I think you've even, my mama will tell you, I've always been if that makes me selfish, then so be it, but I move because I'm responsible for my outcomes and how I'm perceived and how I look out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? So when I do something that's, you know, when I'm going the extra mile for a person, it's not really about them like that. It's because that's who I am.
I agree. And I've learned that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the man that you are. And again, it makes me even more committed to you because I know if he can do this in a not so ideal relationship, what will we do in ours where this grass is very green?
Facts, and that's the space that I've been living in, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and that's why I'm like, I could never go backwards from that perspective, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because you know what a good relationship will show you? Progress, like rapid progress, actually. That's what a good relationship will show you. Should have started clearing up and getting better and getting good relatively quickly because y'all working together. You know what I mean? One's not pulling in one direction and the other pulling in another direction, and y'all talking about y'all love each other.
You're both going there.
And love is a pretty crazy drug by itself. Like, love had you doing some stupid shit.
I agree. Because I love him. I love her.
Nigga. You know what I'm just saying, man. I've been really good about using that word, but that's one of them where it's just like, oh.
And try to base a relationship on a foundation of primarily love. Because it can't just be love. But I think basing on just primarily love where we're in this because the love will fade. It's gonna run out.
People don't like that statement.
What?
Love fades, love fizzles,
Looks fade.
Love is like the tides. Love ebbs and flows. Love can be abundant sometimes, and I'm talking about the same relationship, a good relationship.
Sometimes it is so easy to love you, baby.
And some days I know it's not
Some
so
days that shit is not.
And I like
You know what I'm saying?
I like her.
And vice versa.
You know, that's natural right there, you know? So I think a huge part of it is just, especially in our community, is we didn't have good relationship role models. So a lot of us was learning on the fly the first few times around and things like that. You know what I'm saying?
And when you learn it on the fly, you make even more mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if neither one of you have a framework for what that looks like.
But if you're in a framework of, well, happy wife, happy life, your mistakes are dragging the relationship down, but her mistakes are just, we ain't even gonna talk about them.
Yeah.
And that will defeat a man like nothing else will ever. We was just, what's the name of that podcast?
Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Dear Future Wifey podcast. Yo, shout outs to them. Like he's doing some, he has, and she watches, you know, she's on her stuff all the time. Like, and I'll be watching like sci-fi audio books and stuff like that.
Well, I love you so much.
Like, you know, but I do, there's certain cats I check out. I like watching reaction videos on YouTube because I don't really see those videos without that. So usually I watch the videos and I'll like, just watch the video and then kind of like, okay, because I know you're going to be talking for like 8 more minutes. And
yeah, we won't talk about that person. I don't need to shove that person
necessarily, but he's got a platform to do that. And some people do need to hear them extra 8 minutes and stuff like that. But and that boy Will, I like him because he just kind of jumps in between his clips for a couple minutes and jumps out, and he doesn't. He's not patronizing, and he's from New Orleans, so you know he got that accent, and it's just like
baby.
Yeah. He does his thing. I like Dear Future Wifey podcast like that. They are crushing because there's some real rap going on that show. Because I didn't realize until today, like, she's like, oh yeah, and they're getting divorced. I was like, oh shit, they have couples on there that's at that stage of their marriage. And she was like, oh yeah, like the couples that have been divorced.
Because it's stages of life.
Stages of life, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, that's dope. So we was watching this particular episode, and it was very funny because, you know, she was getting her feedback, and I was getting mine, and then we started having a conversation. And she was like, you know, I wasn't taking it like that. And I'm like, yo, baby, I speak dude. And like, dude wasn't even talking.
Speak fluent.
But when he did talk, I'm telling you, I'm listening to what he said, and this is what was going on. And then like 15, 20 minutes into it, you know, they started shedding some light on it. And I was like, yeah, I can kind of see how he got jammed up in that situation because he was coming from the perspective of, like, fellas, if you don't know who you are, you cannot have a successful relationship.
Facts.
If you don't really, and I'm talking about really know who you are, you cannot have a successful
Because how can you lead me not knowing who you are? And I'm a woman who expects my man to lead. That's the male role, right? Like, I am your rib. That is why we were created, right? And so a man who says, I don't know myself, and she had to tell me about myself, I agree with you. How could you possibly lead? You can't lead me because you don't know your own direction in life. And so those are some of the things that, again, as women and men, we need to think about. Anybody who's still trying to find themselves needs to find themselves alone.
Yes.
Until they're at that space where they know themselves.
And they can date casually.
Yes, but they shouldn't
be
getting
be intentional about your casual, because I don't really know what I'm doing. And honestly, there's certain people that do know what they are doing or what they want or what they're looking for, have the opportunity to kind of, oh, really? That's good to know. Because I know not to put too much stakes into that because you can't build around that.
And if we are honest as women, so many of us go into these spaces of a man has shown you the signs, and some have told us that I don't really know what path I'm on. I'm trying to find myself, and they think that you can find it with them. No.
I can help, and it's not a good idea, but I can help you find yourself if that was the situation that we were in. Because that's more of a natural dynamic. That's why older guys and younger women work
well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you cannot help me find me.
I think it's difficult for a woman to help a man find himself.
You know what that is?
I don't know how to navigate.
You know what a woman helping a man find himself is?
What is it?
Motherhood.
Oh, there's that. And well, that that does happen often, where a lot of men say, well, she turned into my mother.
It's motherhood.
I
A
know.
woman helping a man find himself, who is he in the context of this world and this universe, is a mother.
Not a
And
partner, or not a significant other, or
men
what.
are not meant to have sex with their mother.
And that is facts. Despite what the internet tells us.
It's a horrible, horrible dynamic. Okay?
Go back to one of our earliest Dusty clips. Men do not like being told what to do by women because they were boys who were consistently and constantly told what to do by a woman. So we grow out of that shit.
So many of us don't think about it that way. So when you're like, well, I told you to, and all he hears is
There's
his
this
mother.
one, like, I'm
And you
done
don't
with
wanna do
that.
that.
I'm done with being told what to do. What you gonna tell me? Show me your penis.
Oh, I don't have one.
Thank you.
So, again, if a man, and there's nothing wrong with a man not knowing himself. It's a process.
It is a process. At 20-something years old, I wouldn't have expected you
Chances
to know
are you
yourself. You
don't.
don't know yourself. You don't know yourself.
Chances are you don't.
You don't know yourself. It's you're trying to navigate and figure out.
You know what you're
this thing
trying to
on
do, maybe.
Maybe. And even in that process, you're still trying to figure out how am I the best at my craft. So you cannot focus on the other stuff because you have a linear focus.
And when I say know who you are, I'm talking about the shit you stand on.
What are your principles?
What are your principles? See, there's things I believed at 25 that I would have died over, that I would absolutely
Slap a person in the face for even offending me.
of thinking that I had similar principles at this stage of my life. I'm a 46-year-old black man, like I said. I don't do very much of what I don't want to do.
I'd rather take whatever comes with that. So, I have a code of conduct from my employer. I adhere to that as closely as possible. You know what I'm saying? And outside of that context, my personal life, I have a code of conduct and I adhere to that
As closely as possible.
And so
and that's another one. If your man don't have a code of conduct,
So that is part of why you know that they're not the one, or why you may know you're not the
If you
one for
just do
something.
anything about anything, like,
But you have no framework for your life.
that's unstable.
So you absolutely have no framework for your life. We have a comment here.
okay.
So break down why women get mad when you fall off, but always been a breadwinner. Oh, Jesus, we can talk about that. That is a great question.
Ooh.
DJ?
Ooh, that's a very good one. And I'm going to say, fellas, don't take it personally. It's a character flaw.
Would you agree with that?
I would say it is. So DJ might not know. Let's talk about our origin story. How much do you want to go into about how we met to where we are 2 years later?
I mean, I don't. What do you mean? Like, I think I got a better analogy actually.
Okay, let's do it.
Because one of my homeboys,
You know, he told me a situation of it's him. He got two brothers, right?
Okay.
His mom and dad been married. They're from the South.
Okay.
Good family
Okay.
on both sides.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So
And they grew up in a two-parent home.
grew up
Okay.
in a two-parent home. Mom's was an educator. Dad, I can't pin it, but he was a provider type.
Correct.
Over the course of the years of their marriage,
Because she was not the breadwinner, she was able to pursue her career as an educator to the point where eventually she was making some money. I think she wanted to be like a principal or something.
Nice. Good
You
for
know what I'm
her.
saying? Awesome. Over the course of his career, again, he rising through the ranks, he's getting his promotions or whatever, but say 20 years in, he hits a bump and gets laid off.
That happens.
He's like, yo, my mom she tried to step to me like, yo, I'm leaving your daddy.
Leaving your daddy to do what?
he was like,
I told her, like, I'll never speak to you again. How dare you? This man that provided you for your whole life, my whole life at least. And now he loses his job and you gonna bang out on him?
Yeah, that's.
Or not all of the problems that y'all been having is not a huge because he's no longer able to provide.
That's not an honorable thing to do.
That's a character flaw.
That's not but as a woman, that's not an honorable thing to do.
No, it's a character. That's what I'm saying. It's a character flaw.
Especially
You're not.
for better or for worse, right? My commitment to you is for better or for worse. And in the course of our 2 years together, believe it or not, we've been through some better or worse, and we haven't even taken our vows yet, right? But that was, for me, we needed to front load that so that we understood as a team, as a couple, what we could deal with and what needed to be done. So for me, the idea that you are in a position that you cannot no longer provide my love for you is no. Again, when we met, Rob didn't even have a job. Like, let's just be, Rob was unemployed, but he still had 2 advanced degrees, okay, was the smartest man I'd ever met, had played professional basketball for 7 years, had international experience coming out of his wazoo, had been the captain of every team he had been on, despite the fact that he didn't even speak the language in the countries that he was in. He was a man that I knew, this little bump in the road, oh shit won't last. And with a good woman by his side, we gonna be fine. And we fast forward. And if that were to happen again, I am in a position where I'm preparing, God, you know what? We need to have a rainy day fund because the market's going to happen and shit. So if we need to hunker down for 12 months, then we got shit to hunker down for 12 months. Not, oh shit, I still got some looks on me. Let me go find a new man. My daddy would roll over in his grave. Rest in peace, daddy.
Okay.
At the idea that I found a man to provide for me and to take care of me. And that I didn't do that. But I think that for me, the issue is that it's all of these messages that we get. You are more than just the provider.
And that is why so many men feel the way that they feel about the women that they're dealing with. Because they are made to feel like that's all they are.
You are not just the provider in my life. You are also my protector.
And so you go do something like my man is talking about, where the moment I fall off, you split on me.
You're also my protector. You're also my best friend. You're also my confidant. You're also my cheerleader. You're so many of the other things that, because you're unable to provide for a temporary moment in time. Remember, we talk about, like, on this show, DJ, we talk about people who make permanent decisions on temporary feelings.
Right. It's a bad decision.
It is very rare that if you've had a man who's been working hard his whole life, that a bump in the road is going to keep him down for the rest of his life. So the man's unemployed for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. A man who's about something will go get 2, 3, 4 part-time jobs until that other opportunity comes along. So for me to look around and say, well, you're no longer a 6-figure man, so I can't be with you, let me go on these stank-ass streets, no thank you. We just don't figure it out, okay, so what do we need to do? What do we need to scale back on? How do we make this bump in the road not as long, potentially?
That's how a woman's supposed to be thinking. And that's, again, to the thing, moral of the story in the show and the theme is, and that's why it wasn't you, you know what I'm saying? Like, for her, that's why it wasn't her. Because you let your piggish mentality counteract your decency, and you left a good man because he was down.
For a moment in time.
And I seen a clip on that Boy Will, actually, where it was a TikTok where shorty just sitting there, hair disheveled with stank face looking, and she was like, thinking about that time I left a good man for an absolute bum.
Or something like, thinking about that time I left a man who would do anything to make me happy for an absolute bum.
And it's like, yes, because too many women confuse being desired for being held in high esteem.
Well, it's what you talk about, attention versus intention.
Facts.
Right? A man who's working hard to support you has intentions for you. A man can show me attention all he wants. I get attention all the time. It doesn't mean that that man has intention for me. So when we talk about the fact that you need to understand going into relationship what your values are, and does the person align with your values? What is their code of conduct? The funny thing is, watching Dear Future Wifey podcast, the couple, he said he went into their marriage counseling not even understanding what non-negotiables were. And so when he was going through the premarital counseling, he's like, I have no concept of what a non-negotiable is. I'm just existing as a 28-year-old man about to marry this woman.
Trying to clean his life up.
Just trying to clean my life up. Trying to go on a certain path.
Again, you hit the nail on the head. I was like, you could relate to some of this. I was like, I know exactly what he had going on with himself, what he was going through. That was basically a man saying, look, I don't really know what this life shit is all about like that. So I'm going to try to get adjacent to someone who grew up
seems to know.
in a two-parent household, whose family, who seems to know what that's about and has come from that and is cut from that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if I really want to go here now, but yo, let's just call it what it is, man. It just needs to be said, man. Yo, the church jacks a lot of people up, man.
Facts.
That brother was, I'm sure when we finish watching it later, he's going to speak to how that experience made him not want to do nothing with no church nowhere.
Because they didn't guide him.
He was just hollow faith.
They didn't guide him. They gave him their code of conduct with nothing behind it. This is the rules we live by, but without a context.
Living like an animal before.
Without context, right? There is no context. And I think, again, that's how people go into relationships.
And again, a lot of times it's put like it's a failure on that person. No, that's a failure on the church, man.
Because how do you marry two people where one is saying 12, 13 years later, I never loved my wife, and I actually didn't even know some of the things that they were asking me. And even the host of the show was kind of like,
this is deep.
What the hell? Like, they didn't ask you these, like, yes, they asked you about money, but how did they ask you about money in your relationship? How did they ask you about money about if she's the breadwinner and you're not? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the bills? How do you deal with what DJ just said? If one of you is down, how do you deal with that stuff?
Especially, and here's another one, and I hate this is turned into this direction, but speaking from my own experience
of going through premarital counseling in a church.
When y'all are talking about things and there's like
misalignment and what you would think would be like, pause, let's talk about this. Like, in most churches, you're probably going to, I wonder what the success rate of those programs is. That's kind of the point I'm making. I'm willing to bet it's like 99%. They're not ever going to stand there and tell two people, y'all probably shouldn't be getting married, in our professional opinion.
Because they're pushing the idea of marriage.
And I think in my first marriage, we went through it with a wonderful older couple. And I wish they would have had and I'm sure they probably, when they went back talking about us after the fact, was like, they ain't got no business getting married.
Sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
But they're not going to tell you that. And that's where that's a failure on leadership. That's a failure on the generation before us.
A lot of us wasn't prepared for what life had to offer for us.
And that's why we work as hard as we do to try to
set the stage for our children.
Or at least I hope we do, but sometimes we just continuously make the same mistakes.
But that's the key about conversing and being truthful with yourself, right?
Facts.
How many of us lie to ourselves? We lie to ourselves so often. And if we would just tell the truth, I know it has to be hard to look at someone and say, I don't love you. I never loved you. Let's see, DJ. I've been with her 28 years and I'm only 50 and she's 51. God,
that sounds crazy, bro. Like that. What she think is out there for her?
28 years.
Yeah, my condolences to what you're going through, brother.
28 years. I'm sorry, I'm just still stuck on 20. Yeah, God bless you. God. 28 years. Like, I was 14 years old. 28 years.
How many years of unemployment do you accrue over 28 years?
Here's the thing.
Bro, I think you should have got at least 2 or 3 years of, like,
kicking back like you almost at the finish line, my G.
Here is my thing about life, and again, when people are not honest with themselves, a lot of people unfortunately have short-term memory.
Oh man.
They only see the now. They don't see what is behind and what got them to here. 28 years is a building block of what should be a successful life. 28 years of commitment from a man who goes out there, and from a woman, a person who goes out there each and every day and supports you and comes home to you and provides for you and all of that stuff. So guess what? You're going to stumble and there's going to be a bump in the road. My father was not the provider he was when we were back home in Jamaica as he was when he, funny enough, moved to the U.S.
Right.
We were more financially secure in Jamaica than when he moved to the U.S. But I don't think it stopped us looking at him as a provider. He was always a provider. He was always a hard worker. Yes, financially our life was different, but guess what? The world in Jamaica was different. We went from a country of 3 million to one of 300 million. So everything is different. And I didn't look at my father any differently. And I hope the women in his life didn't either. But I could not imagine me just looking at the man I adore, and my father was my first love, and saying, well, you can't do for me anymore, so I have no respect for you as my father, as a man. And I hope we're not saying that that's what you're going through, but I know for us as women, that is a character flaw of ours. We don't, you said something in one of our shows, and you said so many women are so focused on their neighbor's lawn and what their neighbor's doing over their lawn, and they're not really seeing that their lawn is the best lawn on the block. Basically, that wasn't the exact words, but that was the premise of what you're saying. They're so focused on what's out there and the external that they're not realizing that others are actually looking at their lawn thinking, I wish I could get my daffodils to look like that and my tomato patch to look like that, because what you've got going on is so great. But they have this one moment of feelings, and it's feelings, it's not practical. Here is the issue why we wanted to have the show, and it's like, and it came to, we were walking down the street, and Rob said, how many people, basically, and I don't know if I can remember the exact words, don't actually appreciate their partner?
Right.
Like, just basic appreciation for the person who they lay their head beside, the person who comes home to them every day. Just, I appreciate you. And I don't think I can count how many times we've said to each other, just randomly, I appreciate you, babe.
Yeah,
And I love you, because we know we love each other. But that just moment of, I've done something for him, and he's like, babe, I appreciate that. And vice versa. Basic appreciation for what your partner brings to your life. Knowing that if you were not in my life and I was not in yours, those things go away with that person. And so to value that person, to appreciate that person for what they bring. And if you are truly in a space where you cannot appreciate the person you're with, that's not the person for you. They ain't it.
It isn't.
They ain't it.
It isn't.
And the funny thing I was thinking about with that is when we go to as far as men having certain standards and expectations of treatment and things like that. And, we've shared a lot of that stuff intimately. One, I had the experience to play ball professionally after college. So 22 years old, I'm over in Europe, right? And my experience living over there that year was like, American women are trash.
Robert. I'm not a
Now, I was a passport bro before it was even a thing. You feel me though? So I had been, seeing, and then I went to South America, and I'm like, Argentina, I'm like, and then coming back home that summer was like, I don't want none of you.
I'm not American.
Do all of this stuff, and I get nothing in return. Man, I get treated like a whole king over there. And you can't get treated like that and then go back to
mediocrity.
Like, nah, that's
To
not
mediocrity.
how it's supposed to be.
To someone you're not even putting that kind of energy towards.
To mediocrity.
You know?
So, and then like,
It's what I
because-
kind of said to you today. I work really hard that it would be hard for you to replace me.
yeah, it'd be hard to cheat. Like, that's what you're supposed
And to
do.
replace me as a whole, listen, I don't ever pretend that it's gonna be hard for you to cheat. You're a man. Right? Like you said something funny the other day when you were talking to our girlfriend, and he was like, you know what, I know Toshiba prepares herself for one day that I might cheat. Right? And so if I cheat, she's not surprised and she'll deal with whatever comes from that. But I also know that I have set myself up in your life that it would be hard to replace me. The things I do for you, it is hard to replace. So you take me out, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, facts. And just, to give some context, because that clip, without it, I feel almost like it just, again, makes people think that I just
I'm out there.
license to
He
just
does not.
bend chicks over and do what I want to do. And
does
that is not.
He does
the
not.
case. Now, when we were having this conversation, the analogy I gave was, now, if I was like, yo, Shorty was on my meat, I took her to Denny's and took her to the hotel, and you know what? It is what it is. She would be like,
Sounds about right.
sounds about right.
That's about what you would
That's
do.
about what you would do. Now, if I was like texting her for hours and laughing, looking at my phone, giggling, and sending her lingerie and flowers and chocolates.
I'm getting mad thinking about it right now. My blood is actually boiling as you describe this. Because both of you are going up in flames. I'm Jamaican.
So, like, again, if you felt like I was giving another female treatment I'm not giving you, then you got an issue with it.
Or treatment you are giving me.
Okay, yeah.
Right? You're not supposed to
Right.
give somebody else the treatment you give me. Absolutely not.
Right, both sides of it. I agree with you. Like, so anything I'm doing on the side should be exactly that, on the side.
But again, not as many guys are able to really navigate the cold hard truth of dealing with your female on that level. You know what I'm saying? And because you are who you are in your nature and your personality, it makes it so much easier for me to interact with you like that.
But again, we're supposed
But
to be
it
able to
doesn't
have
make
this.
you like a freaking Martian or anything like that. That's the point that I was about to get to. It doesn't mean like I said, and that's another. Two things I think really stand in women's way is of having better relationships. One, not understanding how hard men have to work for money.
Ooh.
And what's a lot of money.
Ooh.
Women seem to lost all freaking concept of that first part of that.
Yeah, because everybody thinks that, 6 figures is easy to come by now.
And the second thing that I think are tremendously huge obstacles for women in relationships are to think you need to be madly in love with this dude and to think that him cheating on you got anything to do with you.
Well, being madly in love is a lot of the times why people are getting divorced. Irreconcilable differences. They fell out of love. They actually did not know how to coexist together in a state of just coexisting because they make sense together.
Have you ever had the experience of loving someone and wanting to wring their neck?
Absolutely.
Have you ever appreciated someone you didn't love?
Yes.
How?
Because they added value. They added value. They gave something to me that I didn't otherwise have. That to me is the
about
basis.
the concept of an intimate relationship.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because I guess you still appreciate them, even.
Yes. You don't know because there's
that makes sense.
to me you gotta understand.
But I think it's if when you usually they kind of go hand in hand. I think also in a
It should go hand in hand, but let's be honest.
no,
it
love
doesn't.
to appreciation. Appreciation should turn into love.
Appreciation should turn into love.
That's
Because
okay.
love
I
can turn
wasn't
into
explaining
hate
it.
real quick.
Hell yeah, like I said, that's why it started with, have you ever loved someone and you bring one of them
Yes,
in there?
because love can
Well,
turn
when
into,
you've
because you don't,
grown
what's the
to
basis of the love?
appreciate a person.
Pause. What's the basis of the love? That's what a lot of people are
No.
Thank you.
No one does.
Thank you.
No one.
That's the issue.
No one knows that. answer
No
to
one's
that
having the
question.
conversation about what is the basis of the love. You asked me in the beginning of the show, what do I love about you?
No, I did not.
What was the question?
How do you feel?
How do I feel about you? Yes, how do I
That's
feel
the
about
key
you?
word. As a woman, I wanted you to express how you feel.
Yes, you were right. You
And
did
you
ask.
okay, and finish your point up.
No, but again, the question is, if people were to really ask, how do you feel about me? Why do you feel the way you feel about me? What is it that I do for you to make you love me? People would really realize that's not the person for me, because they cannot even verbalize to me how they feel. Physiologically, because again, remember, love is a brain chemistry thing, and it changes things, and we feel things physiologically. You should then be able to express to the person you said you want to be with all of that. How do you feel about me? Why do you feel that way? The question that I asked you that you had never been asked before, and I would recommend men and women, if you haven't heard this, you say, how can I love you better? Rob had never had anybody ask him that. And I tell you, if I'm honest, I had never asked another man that. I had always just loved. I loved you and I would give it. Like, my love language is I give. I give to you. I give to you. I try to come in your life and make it as seamless and as easy for you as possible, so you can navigate this world as a black man, which is difficult enough. So I try to take some of those burdens off of you. That's how I love.
And if you know yourself, you can answer that question.
Right? And so asking you, how can I love you better, was saying that despite the fact that I know my type of love, it doesn't mean that's the way that you want to be loved. And because I feel the way I feel about you, I want to love you in the way that you can receive.
Right. So many, many times a woman wants to feel, you love me because you don't sleep with other women. That's how you want him to love you.
That's how you want him to love you.
How he actually loves you is he esteems you above all other women. That's why he's sneaking around and trying to keep the shit from you that he's sleeping with other women.
That's why they go to couples court and will lie to the very end.
Because I love you. I put you above everyone else.
And
And that's why a lot of women get so frustrated, especially when they feel as the side chick, I look better than the main chick. But here's the tricky part of it, sweetheart. You're not worth as much as the main chick is to that man. That's why you're a side chick.
Maybe it's showdown, I guess. I mean, drop some
You give him the 20%.
Girls, a lot of people don't even understand that concept that are getting into relationships. That concept is so foreign to people, because really people think that you need to give your 100% of yourself into these relationships, not understanding that it is virtually impossible. You're only going to truly get 80% of what you need from any human being.
You're just rotating, rolling 80. You might get this, but you're going to lose out on that.
And so going into some of these relationships, people are, to go from the beginning, not knowing who they are as people, but trying to navigate life with another person. And if the other person doesn't know who they are either, they're both trying to find themselves, and they're eventually going to find themselves generally away from each other. Right? Because it's just like, now I found myself and I realized that, you aren't really it. Or you have a frustration of somebody who truly knows themselves, of trying to deal with somebody who's going to eventually find themselves. And like you said, often if that is a man finding himself and a woman already knows herself, she starts nagging him like a mother, and he's out the door again. Doesn't need that. Right? And so it's all of these ideas of basic conversation.
But here's the sticky part of it, and it's been argued consecutively and successfully even, is that I don't know who's really at fault with that, because you can make the argument that women can't handle the truth, but men don't force them to. Does that make sense?
I agree.
If we stopped lying, thinking I'm a loser if I tell her the truth, then why is doing what you want to do on the side more important than being truthful? That's why I get into who you are.
So, to the point and a little bit away from the point, I got sent a clip by a comedian. She's a bit of a bigger girl. And she said, and it was very plain and simple, I would lose weight if these ninjas would stop effing with me.
I saw that.
I sent it to you.
If I stop getting bent over?
If I stop getting bent over, I'd actually lose the weight. But y'all keep bending me over, so I have no reason
motivation to do it.
lose the weight.
I think that is a mic drop. Women can't handle the truth, probably because we don't make them. And let's be honest, women ain't really gonna do much of anything that we don't make them.
So the impetus for the show was Rob and I clearly having a conversation, and I don't even know what the conversation was. But again, if we were to stand up, you would see our size different. He's 6'9", I'm 5'5". I remember we were kind of in the hallway to our kitchen. You looked down at me, you were like, "Fuck your feelings." Just like, okay.
And as a man, you have to be able to say, this is what it takes to be in a relationship with me. Take it or leave it.
And after I clutched my imaginary pearls, I said, "You're right." I said, "You're right. I do need to fuck my feelings." Because talking about feelings right now isn't going to get us to the other side of what we were dealing with. And so, for the moment, let's put the feelings aside and let's talk about the logic of the situation. And we were able, and again, I don't remember what it was, but I remember it was such a pivotal moment in our relationship, which clearly was the impetus for the show.
Yes.
And for how we have lived our relationship for the past year and a half, because I think that happened pretty early in us living together. We were just in our kind of first place. And this was maybe, I moved here in February. This had to be about April or May that this happened. So it was within 3 months of me moving here. And it was kind of like, okay, you're right. We cannot operate as a couple, as Toshiba and Rob, if feelings are going to be the thing that leads how we make decisions about how we move forward in this relationship. And if I'm going to look at you as my leader, I cannot put my feelings onto you and say, well, lead with my feelings in mind. Because sometimes my feelings can't matter because it stops you from leading us in the right direction. But we had to have that conversation. We had to know that, and we had to know that, you know what? Because in that moment of you saying that, I could have just said, you know what? I'm going to pack up all my stuff to tomorrow and I'm out.
I'm going to leave it.
What do you mean?
I'm going to leave it.
What do you mean? F my feelings? People care about my feelings.
You're not doing that, boo-boo.
Right? And so we try to force these relationships and say, that person's the one, that person's the one. But are you asking the hard questions?
But again, that limits, and that's again, men being being quantity based. We don't like to limit our options, and again, that's a character flaw.
Ooh. You need to be,
because you're not really doing nothing, player. Like if you any dude can just lie.
yeah, and just keep changing the rotation. As soon as one woman finds out about your lie, you're like, okay, I guess I'll just move on to the next one.
You know, there's been notorious liars. This show's dedicated to that, where this dude moving around town to town, a Green Beret in this city, a damn FBI special agent in this city.
Catch me if you can.
We don't believe that crap. And I'm not faulting them for believing it necessarily. My motto is
Trust but verify.
I agree.
I trusted your name was Toshiba Billings, but I damn made sure of it.
Oh, did you Google me?
I mean,
I trust but verify.
I definitely Googled you.
The verify doesn't mean you don't trust them.
No, I agree. I verified sources. I do that all the time.
Trust but verify.
like you said, your friends, verification, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They had to verify you. Is he a real person? Who are we sending our friend off to? They interviewed you and we like you went through it.
Look, man.
I think
Trust but verify.
I love what you said is you have to force the truth on people. You have to force the fuck your feelings moments on people where it's like, let's really talk about what
If
this
you're a
is.
leader,
Oh, I'm just gonna put my phone up now. Okay. So you're
if
saying
I'm the admiral and we gotta storm this goddamn beach, can I care about my guys being scared?
no. Go. Go.
This has to be done. If we don't do it, we're all gonna die.
Correct.
Will some of us die doing this? Yes.
Men can rock with that.
So how do you communicate it to the woman in your life?
I think that
Because for a lot of people, the fuck your feelings ain't gonna work.
you know what my philosophy was, what I learned in my failed relationships?
Yes.
Can't be afraid to take that L. I knew I was risking her doing a 180 and walking out that damn door when I said, fuck your feelings. I knew it when I said it. This could be it.
And it's
But I could not be afraid to take that L.
it actually made us a stronger couple. We have a whole show now about it in a book that will be out next year on the premise of fuck your feelings.
Cannot be afraid to take that L, fellas. If she can't take your truth, she's not for you.
And as women, if we're not able to tell the truth about who we are to the person, Rob knows. There is going to be no person who can surprise Rob. Where
We have that
again,
agreement with each other.
where it's just like, oh yeah, that sounds about
Oh yeah,
right.
you know that used to be my girl. Like, you know,
Oh,
she's not
okay.
gonna run up on me like that. She's gonna make sure I have that information already. So I'm like, yeah, Tim, nice to meet you. She told me I used to whatever. Now she's completely disarmed this dude.
How can he come at me any type of funny child now?
But here's the thing: you're actually talking about a couple being a team.
And you've also clearly made the decision that I care more about you looking good than I do fucking Tim and whatever he got
Facts.
going on.
Facts. That's the part. It's where you come down to. Does the person value you? Do they appreciate you? Are they grateful for you?
That was the problem with our friend, because wasn't that what I said? It was like, I would have answered that shit on the spot because I would not have even brought that question back to her, because I wouldn't want to be the messenger bringing it. Like, now I'm looking like I'm in agreement with it because I'm asking, like, would you?
You have to know your partner. And a lot of us don't know
I would have looked,
our
hell no,
partner.
she ain't gonna do that.
But again, when we talk about but people will say that I love you, right? I love you. But I've always said, you know what, as I was navigating this whole dating world in my 20s and 30s, I got to the point where I was like, I'd rather hear the words, I got you, more than I love you. I got you. I got your back. I got you. I'm alright. Because that said so much more to me than I love you. Because again, if the person says, I love you, and you ask, what do you love about me? See if they can answer. Because I've seen people not be able to answer that question. Again, I watch enough of these shows where people will be put on the spot and say, okay, what do you love about Rob?
No, we talk about it. You know, like, that's why I said, went into the top of the show when she said how she feels about me. She said, I'm obsessed with Rob.
I'm obsessed with you.
I love that.
I'm obsessed with him.
Because
It's disgusting, actually.
but no, and again, this is not to be shady or nothing like that, but
experienced obsession before too. And once you've had it a certain way, you don't want to move backwards from that. But I've never had that same energy back. You know what I'm saying? And when then you come with that energy and you come with the utility, it's of course I want to deliver the best that I can to you about whatever it is.
Well, that was.
But
No.
you also know I'm very much gonna move how I move, when I move, where I move. Like you accept certain aspects of it. It's like my man is on his own time, but I don't have to worry about whether I'm included in it.
Well, it's funny, you just said something in part of the book, and I put it in my book, No Handouts for Black Girls. Purchase it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. No Handouts for Black
We
Girls.
need to get it on the set.
Actually, it's we've got it in there. That really captured me was when you said to me, "You deserve my best."
Mhm.
I don't think you've ever understood how those words were the foundation for where we are today. You said you deserve my best.
And when you feel
And it's a difference, let me be clear. It wasn't that he said you deserve the best. That's a general. That term the
What is the
was
best?
it's very general. It's very
it's
subjective.
subjective, yes.
You said you deserve my best, which means that the best I have to give you, that is what I'm going to strive to do in this relationship. And that meant the world to me, because I understood that you're saying that I'm going to protect you and guide you and love you and lead you with only the best intentions at all times. You deserve my best. That is the question that people are really needing to think about in a relationship. Is the person giving you their best? Do you deserve their best? Do they deserve your best? Because if you cannot answer that question, why are you even in that relationship? That person is not the one. Because again, it had nothing to do with love.
Well, remember what we said when we were having this conversation with our friend. Not bad.
No, what was it? It was
Okay, relationships are the hardest to end. When it's not bad. When it's just okay. That's not your person.
But it's also hard. You're afraid to take that L. Well, it's lukewarm.
It's good enough.
It's not cold.
It's good enough. How many relationships are good enough, but the person will say, but I love that person? This is why I'm saying to you, you saying those words to me, you deserve my best. And he said it not in the middle of a relationship. He said it right in the beginning. He was saying to me, I'm going to give you the best that I have, and it's my best. And I think, again, you didn't say the best, because if you said the best, it would have had no impact on me. Of course I deserve the best. Like, that's what I would be thinking. But it doesn't mean I deserve your best. And so when you said you deserve my best, that was pivotal in getting us together as the words fuck your feelings has been in keeping us together.
I appreciate that. I get that though. Like that's ladies, make him want to keep you in the ways he wants, not the ways you want.
But how can here is one of the issues, and we're coming up to time. Here is one of the issues now. Women are getting conflicting messages about how to even start a relationship. Girl, you're a boss. Go out there and get that man. Oh, no.
What is the success rate of relationships where the woman chooses the man?
Not very high. I don't know the number, but it will not be high. because it is, I want to know that you chose. I know confidently sitting in this chair that of all the options you had out in there when you were single and navigating this waters of dating, you didn't settle on me. You actively chose me.
No, not especially with what I'm into. Again, we had the whole notorious situation in the hotel where it was just like, yo, dudes in my situation. Again, like she said, I wasn't even working. And I clearly understood. And I don't know what the context of how I got it, but something she said must have got me to the point that my reaction to it was, dudes in my situation ain't worried about girlfriends.
Again, while we were already in a relationship and I had moved. I'm just saying.
No, that was no.
And no.
That was the hotel.
I had moved from Canada to be here.
No,
this
the
was
hotel.
No, it wasn't. It was not.
I promise you.
I know it because I know the conversation. I know it's because again, I was the one. You said it to me while we were in the second hotel when I had to call my sister. That is how that conversation came up.
Okay.
I know the day. I could almost know the time if I looked at it. Okay. I remember it because it was an impact. But I get what you were saying. The position that you were in the state that you were in. Yeah, what am I looking about trying to navigate a relationship when at this point my foundation is quicksand? But also, a good woman.
I can't just turn my back on either. That's dumb.
But also, a good woman sees again, not the temporary state that you were in.
You understood what I was saying. We've had several instances of you were taking my treatment and my behavior in a way that had nothing really to do with you. You know.
Correct.
And still, I was like, it tends, as men, as providers, our sex drive tends to be tied to our ability to do that. If you got rabbit ears, I don't see how you're a horny devil.
Trying to put it on every day, every minute, every day.
When you got a pocket full of money,
oh yeah, I know what's on his mind.
I know what's on his mind.
Oh yeah. He don't need no Viagra tonight. He just cashed the check for
70 racks. He good.
But that came out of conversation because you're right. When we were going through those moments, I did put it on me. Like, remember I was asking you, you're not attracted to me? But again, I didn't make the assumption.
I don't feel sexy.
I feel you. When you said that to me, that actually hit and it hurt my heart.
No, it is what it is.
And I got that, though.
I feel very sexy.
I know you do. I know you. He's a little different now than it was when we first got together. Yes, he feels hella sexy now. Trust and believe. I cannot go to sleep yet. But anyways, I digress. So to wrap it all up is talking about what would you say from your perspective, because this is a topic you want to talk about.
Yeah, I thought it was a good one. Even
Why?
Technical difficulties. We got to get a camera now.
Babe, we're wrapping up.
I know, I'm sorry.
Why you or they are not the one? What would you say to wrap that up from a male perspective, and I will say from a female perspective?
If you were not the one, that's such a broad way of looking at it, but I would probably say if you were not the one, it's because you didn't really know yourself. Because when you know yourself, you're attractive as hell, no matter what your financial condition is.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that. Okay. And I would wrap it up with the words that you said. If, ladies, you know you're not the one for him when he isn't giving you his best. Because I think as women, we inherently know when a man is giving us their best. And be clear, their best. Not their best compared to what others have done. Not their best to what social media is saying the best should be, but his best.
And I'm going to piggyback on that. And if his best ain't good enough for you,
then
who raised you?
Oh, no.
Who raised you?
Well, I just think they just need to go. Why? Do not put someone through the heartache of a relationship if you are not willing to give your best in it. And we do that exhaustively every day. Every day, that is the one thing I would say that we have done, even again in our good times, our bad times, and again, experiencing what we did a few weeks ago where we thought that maybe this was not going to be, and we realized how exhausting that was for the both of us not being in a good space for 48 hours. We're like, this is stupid. Like, we're going to be together forever.
Yeah,
like, there's not even a question. Like,
override your dumb text the other day, and we're wrapping. She finally fell into one of those. She was just being that girl, text me some shit where she wanted a specific answer from me, but the way she phrased it, it was like she wanted something different. So I was like,
and he gave me something different. I was like, you're supposed to say this.
I was like, why the fuck you asked me?
It was actually funny.
I didn't even get my blood pressure.
And it was so funny because I know I had gotten close to the line, like you tumbled me over text, and that's why I didn't respond because I could see your hand go no. So then I was talking to Joanne, I was like, yeah, girl, I did it. I think I didn't quite touch the line, but I knew I could. She was literally loud for 5 minutes because I was girl, I was close and he was there, and he was like, girl, and I was like, I'm just not going to respond. I'm going to put my phone away and pretend I didn't send the text. Because I knew, even in text, I was just like, no. And so I didn't respond. And I think I texted you from my other phone.
You did, then you went to WhatsApp, and I was like,
so she was trying to know the entire conversation.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. So anything else you want to add to wrap up that part of the show in terms of why you're not the one? They are not the one.
No, man, and it's not settling if that's your level. Like, everybody wasn't made to be an astronaut. Everybody isn't Rihanna.
Thank you.
I was like, but I think that's also part of knowing yourself, like being able to look at the mirror and make an honest assessment.
And being a realist. About what you actually bring to the table of value to that person.
And I think with that being said, and there's somebody for everybody, because if I was Quasimodo, I'd have a woman that treated me well.
And and this is where we always are going to disagree, I just do not think that there's somebody for everybody. The numbers just don't. The numbers don't do it. And unless women are about to start sharing men in abundance, there isn't. I'm sorry, ladies, there isn't. But some of you are just going to die alone. It is what it is.
It is what it is. This is a good one, babe. Would you date a person that watches you struggle? No, you should not. Male or female. And remember, there was a post we saw on social media. It was something to the effect of, well, it was geared towards the ladies. When a woman has a problem, there's two types of men. And I was like, yo, I agree with that. And a man can be both of those type of men depending on the woman. When a woman has a problem, there's two types of men. There's, I got you. There's, damn, that's fucked up. What you gonna do? And it could be the same man. So if you're getting, damn, that's fucked up, what you gonna do? That ain't your dude.
That ain't your dude. He telling you.
He's telling you what I'm telling you.
What you gonna do?
I'm not gonna fix your problems. Don't save her. I
You
hear
don't
J.
wanna
Cole
be sick.
I hear J. Cole dealing with you.
And we move on. What are you most excited about when it comes to our future? Just how far we can go together. I think
like
about it
I'm with that.
all the time about like how far we've gotten so far in the last 2 years, where we'll be 2 years from now, where we'll be another 2 years from then. Like, it excites me because we've gotten so
agree
far.
with you. Like, that excites me a bit because just facts. I really truly do believe that we were like the missing ingredient for each other. Like, I think that I will go higher with you in my life than I would have went by myself or with just any old woman.
Thanks, babe. That's so sweet.
You are extremely she likes doing a lot of things that I don't like doing. That's an awesome foundation. Can a person be happy while single? Hell yeah. That's your purpose. It's like, yes, you should be single and happy in that, and learning yourself and knowing yourself and dating yourself. How many people don't date themselves?
Oh
I know
my
we
God.
both have extensive experience with dating
Thank
ourselves.
you. And
I
actually,
go eat by myself. I go to nice restaurants by myself. You know, in my younger days, movies,
Clubs.
art museums,
All these
name it.
places.
I did all kind of shit
Yeah.
by myself.
Where are we going today, Robert?
it's like,
We're going to the Metropolitan Museum today. Oh, I wonder what we're going to see there.
because you got to
And
experience.
I think that's an awesome experience because do you know how many people I've met dating myself?
Correct. I think because how are you going to be able to sustain a relationship with someone else if you can't sustain time with yourself?
You don't even like
Sorry,
yourself.
you don't even like yourself. Like, what are we talking about? Jesus, Father. This is also an interesting one, and I actually want you to feed in on this one.
Okay.
Is sex owed in a committed relationship? I will answer yes. And I know many women are going to kill me for saying that. Why would you give me monogamy if I'm going to shut you down every time you want to have sex? What is the point of giving me monogamy? You can just be hoeing around to the women who will freely throw you their jaws. And so I'm not saying that, again, we both are in a space where if we're not mentally there, sex is difficult for the both of us. That we understand.
Sex should not be weaponized. I'm
But
going to answer
sex
it
should-
from that perspective.
yes.
But yes, sex is owed. I would say from the perspective of, I just had it and I might have lost it. But like,
I'm not going to blackmail you with sex.
No. It's not even that. But it's like, as awesome as you are, what would be the benefit of our relationship if you friend zoned me?
Oh, that would be ridiculous. What's the point?
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're not. We're not
Us-
doing that. So what is the exchange for you being monogamous to me?
And right.
If there's
If you're not
not giving up the jaws when you want the jaws.
Like,
I mean, whatever.
it can be
Yeah,
taxing
y'all
sometimes,
can
but
do you, but like,
you gotta learn to suck it up.
I'm gonna give up them jaws. Last question each.
Facts. Is it possible to outgrow your relationship? Absolutely. And I would even argue that depending on the stage in your life, that might not even be a bad thing. Like in DJ's example from earlier, after 28 years, you ain't outgrow that damn relationship.
If you're not watering it and keeping
you
it
didn't
fresh.
outgrow
You
it.
did-
If you outgrew
yeah.
it, you did it 14 years ago or
Yeah.
22 years ago or something like that. You know what I mean? You
'Cause
didn't just wake up in year 28 like, oh, this shoe doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's
No, you just was on some bogus shit.
because it takes work, and people
Yes.
forget the work that
Yes.
goes into maintaining a relationship. This is maintenance. That's why we do relationship check-ins. We do temperature check-ins.
Yeah,
We have a
I
relationship
understand,
contract.
but-
How things move. How are things working? What is not working? How can I love you better? Has how I love you
And
changed?
that's why I said that was a character issue, because if that man felt like she gave him a fair chance to get himself back righted, he wouldn't feel the way he feel. You know what I'm saying? But instead he feels she dipped on me when I was messed up. And it is what it is. Like that's
That's sad.
that's a tough one to accept
Yeah.
as a man.
But it'll make you better, brother. Like, use that, with all of that negativity that makes you feel. Just let that push you into your next shit.
So, last question of the night. True or false? Some men want to be overly praised for basic treatment. True.
I would agree.
Very, very,
I
very,
would
very
agree.
true.
I would agree. We just had to talk about that. Well, again, with our friend, we boast a lot of times. I had a good analogy for that. I was like, yo, this dude does extra stuff, but he doesn't do the basic shit. You don't get credit for doing the extras when you don't do the basics. And one of the basic things about being in a relationship with a woman is making her feel safe and secure.
That.
So if you're not doing that, but you're paying rent and getting nails done and all that, you ain't doing shit, bro. You're just tricking and simping and shit.
You heard it here first. So we want to thank everyone who joined us for this show, and we're sorry if you were looking for us on YouTube. We had technical difficulties, but before we go, as usual, we have to thank our sponsor, Sorrel and Sage. Make sure you check them out at Sorrel and Sage CA on Instagram or shopsorrelandsage.com on their website. You need to check out the Sheba butter that is named after yours truly. She has formulated it amazingly. It's good for skin and for hair. And she's got all of these other amazing products, including amazing beard oil for men that makes your beard soft. She's got sage spray. I mean, the woman does it all. And she makes all of the products herself. Hashtag support black-owned businesses, support Sorrel and Sage. What? We can't hashtag support black-owned businesses?
We, the only Canadian body care company we will be supporting is
Sorrel and Sage, yes!
There will be no other companies that we will support at all.
Robert. We'll say that. You know what business advisors for several different businesses.
It is what it is.
Bro, you continue. What else you gotta say?
Nah, I said that for a specific reason. That's what's up.
I know why you said it.
Thanks for those that joined in. Thanks for those that had comments. We appreciate you. We love you. Keep rocking with us. We're headed up. I guarantee it. Let's go together.
Facts. So join us on this ride, and like I like to say, add a little fuck your feelings into your life and into your relationship, because it might just make you stay together. Until next time, we will see you next week, and hopefully we will not have the same technical difficulties.
No, because we're going to fix it.
Yeah, you gonna fix it.
Yeah,
okay, everybody, and bye-bye now. Bye.